Hello again, Steve here. Continuing along the lines of what the last conversation, the last video here, which is to do with the coming apocalypse. I just thought I would delve into the idea of what some of my thoughts on what wealth is, because I think challenges in our lives really help us prioritize what is important. And a lot of the times we invest in ideas and get involved in activities and so on, which might not be very valuable in really, really hard times. So the question is here is, what is real wealth? Or what is more what is more aligned with that? Or what is more close to the idea of real wealth? Well, I would ask myself the question, if I'm going to have something that's wealthy, it has to answer several questions, and this is not a conclusive list that I've written down here. Can I eat it? Can it help me in some way? In other words, another individual as a friend could help me. So investing in that friendship is like wealthy. Is a relationship of wealth in a way, right? Can it shelter me? Can it protect me? In other words, in self-defense, like if I get involved in a self-defense class, that could, having that skill and that knowledge, right? Can it protect me? Can it entertain me? In other words, is there joy in it? Is there beauty in it? And so on, right? So all of these things, I would say, are more core to health, or to wealth, and health, of course, as well. So a lot of times, when we're not in situations of strife, we try to build up like net worths in terms of things that are what we call equities. Like, for example, we invest in things like bitcoins and real estate and day trading and all these sort of things and of course lots of fiat currency items. Whereas in a complete downturn, what are these things actually worth? Like if you have a bank account and the banks go down, what is that actually worth? Whereas if you have friendships, I'm not saying that that's not important. We can have a portfolio of things, but be aware that true wealth, I would say, or more accurate wealth, or more universal wealth, has a staying power no matter what the situation is. So a good friend is always a good friend, right? Gold, in your hidden away somewhere, has more staying power than fiat currency or maybe even bitcoins, because that's all digital, right? Whereas this is real, it's intrinsic, you can pick it up, and it has been recognized as being a store of value for thousands of years, right? Learning how to play a guitar, once you know, unless somebody cuts your fingers off, you can entertain people. In other words, a lot of it has to do with what can we actually produce as tangible stuff, right? Talked about in the last time. Can we actually hunt? Can we actually, grow a garden? These things, I think, are real wealth. It's sort of like, if we look at it, where does wealth ultimately get generated from? It gets generated from our labor, right? So the more skills that we can develop, and the more tangibles real close in to home that we can produce in the moment and that we can sustain, like friendships, growth of friendships, adding to our guitar song repertoire, learning another skill, how to shingle a roof and all these sorts of things, and maybe doing things with learning how to reuse items, learning how to build a trailer out of the back of an old truck or something like that. All of these things can be useful because they are productive, right? We're not just manipulating stuff and grafting off the system, which that's going to be really hard to do when the whole system goes down, if it ever goes down, right? So, yeah, I just thought I would put that out there. Real wealth, I would say, comes from our ability to produce, and not so much our portfolios. Well, that's a store of value, so we want to also consider that as, what do we have our portfolio consisting of? If it's a bunch of derivatives and a bunch of a pension plan and relying on that, and a CPP plan and a retirement savings plan and all these sorts of things that are controlled by large corporations and government, that may not be wealth because it may not be there. Whereas what we work on in terms of our skills, our relationships, our hard and fast investments that are portable, things like a bit of precious metals and things like that, I think that is extremely, extremely important to consider in terms of what wealth is. It's more near and dear. If something is in a derivative account somewhere, you have no idea where it is. It's all digital. It exists out there in cyberland and so on. And I hate to say it, including cryptocurrencies. I mean, they're probably more solid. They're more free market. They're more independent of government and so on. But at the same time, they're so new, and something that exists for 10 years only, yeah, it can be great in concept, but how does it stand up to a real challenge? We don't know that yet. Whereas skills that we develop, well, we have them, right? Like you can take a skilled bushman and strip him of all his money and all of everything, but he could still survive. That is real close to home wealth because it's inside of him, right? As opposed to in some sort of external portfolio. So while I'm not knocking external portfolios, we have to consider what real close to home wealth is for situations of sort of the proverbial house fire that could exist within all of society, which have existed within all of society periodically in history. And those things can happen again. And I think the critical one is financial meltdown, which can happen and has happened before in history and probably will happen again. So, and the state of the world economies and so on, and the fiat currency and the massive debt and so on is making it look incredibly precarious. Something to think about anyways. Steve here again, great chatting. If you like what I'm doing, please like, subscribe, and share, and please comment in the box below. Bye-bye for now.